E te mana whakawā. Mr. Speaker.
Marama Fox.
E te mana whakawā. Nei rā te mihi māhana ki a koe. Anō rā ki te whare hoki. I tērā wiki e tuaki au ki te tukumihi ki tērā o ngā hoia kua hinga. E tika me mihi ki a rātou katoa kua mate. Kei ngā ringa o te atua, e karaputi nei i a rātou i tōna korowai aroha. Rātou ki a rātou ka tika. Ki a tātou te hunga ora, nei, ko tātou te hunga i tūtuki i o rātou nā wawata. Tēnā tātou katoa. Ko wai tēnei e tuake nei, heuri tēnei o ngā iwi o tīkaro rāwhiti. O Ngāti Kahungunu, Ngāti Porou, o Rangitāne hoki. Heuri tēnei o te kāhui rangatiro o te paremata Māori. Rātou i hanga, i whakarite, i o rātou ake paremata. I runga i te whakaaro, kua ngaro rā te reo hāpai, i ngā hiahia, ngā wawata, ngā take o ngā iwi Māori o te mutu. Ki te whai hoki i o rātou ake rangatiratanga. Tamahau mahu puku. Hoani rangi takaiwaho. Manihira. Te Māori, whatohoro, me te kuia nini wai I te rangi. Wai rā, hoki wairua mai, ka tū whakaiti au kei mua I o rātou nā aroaro, kei mua I a koutou aroaro, o kupau, o kurahi, hioi anō rā, ki te whare katoa tēnā koutou. Today is an auspicious day, a significant day in the history of this country. Yet there is no pomp and ceremony to mark this day, no grandeur, no national public holiday, and no special programming by our state broadcaster. In fact, I would hazard a guess that there may be some seated here in this house who do not know what it is that I refer to. Today is in fact the anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. Today, 179 years ago, a confederation of Ngāpuhi chiefs gathered together in Te Hiku o Te Ika to sign the article declaring this land its own sovereign state, an independent country in its own right, not open for discovery, not free to be claimed for princes and principalities, but independent, a land with its own customs, its own language, its own methods of environmental protection, and its own system of justice, its own rangatiratanga. Interestingly, and topically as it is now, those chiefs had also previously established their own flag, a symbol of independence flown across the bow of the ships owned by Māori as they sailed throughout the world to trade in the ports of Australia, Canada, and the United States, a symbol of their nationhood, raised to the world to show their independence. If these chiefs were here today, what would they think? What would they think of what has become of their nation? Would their flag be branded a racist flag, the way the Māori flag was just the other day by members of this House? It is both interesting and enlightening to read of the history of the Declaration of Independence from the Indigenous viewpoint provided through Eri Mahenare, who said, "The words of the Declaration come right from the heart of Māori, from the eyes, from the mind, the face of Māori." The truth or otherwise of the significance of the Declaration of Independence will not be solved here in my maiden speech. I raise it to bring light to the fact that we continue to express our nationhood in one-dimensional viewpoints. We raise our children on a litany of Eurocised history, largely neglecting altogether the rich and vibrant history of pre-colonised Aotearoa. On this historic day, how do we remember our past? How do we take stock as we act in our present? How do we determine the ingredients needed to forge a pathway for our future? It is only right and proper to acknowledge Dr. Peter Sharples for his role in bringing Māori history into our curriculum for the benefit of all our mokopuna and all of Aotearoa. Just a week ago, I proudly stood in the House to swear allegiance to the Queen and my commitment to carrying out my duties as a Member of Parliament, but I was not afforded the honour to do so to the founding unification document of our country, the very document that allowed the Queen to assert her sovereignty in this land, to the treaty itself, Surely if I come here from the Māori role, I come as a representative of the Māori voice. Surely I take my place in this House as a representative of the treaty partner and should be able to acknowledge the treaty in the oath as a partner to the Crown. It was heartening to me to know that every single party in our 51st Parliament attended a karakia taunaki held in Waitangi Reia. On the morning of the swearing in, the karakia offered on our behalf were significant. The wairua felt by all present bore testament to the chiefs who signed the treaty and testament to the contributions of great Māori and non-Māori parliamentarians of the past. I look forward to the day when all will recognise the importance of such remembrance and adherence to the treaty as a matter of course in the fulfilment of our responsibilities as members of this House and representatives of this great nation. I look forward to the day when I can pledge an oath to carry out my duties in accordance to the law and the Treaty of Waitangi. I also look forward to the day when they won't mean two different things. When I first entered this House, I desired to feel a sense of the spirit of this place where debate and conjecture have raged over determining the pathways of our people. This place where our Māori predecessors stood to uphold the unending struggle to assert Māori aspirations. This place where ngata, Pōmare, Te Rangihirua, Kara, Meha and others have spoken, where Maturata, Tirikātane, Parata, Horomia, Turia and Sharples have argued the cause of Māori, endeavouring to uplift and change the impact of assimilation and colonisation on our people. I recall reading for the first time the debate that raged in the Parliament of the day when discussing the Native Schools Act. I was astounded not just by what was said and done, but by the lasting impact of such legislation on the intergenerational lives of our Māori. Here in the Parliament of this country in 1867, they debated whether to exterminate the natives or to civilise them through education. But if they were to educate them, they needed to do so through a language that was more conducive to human thought. In the debate that followed, there was also a reference to the fact that, and I quote, "We need to be careful not to hunt them into education, as we have hunted them into the selling of their land, for fear that it might engender a spirit of resistance." Hence, Māori language was outlawed in this country by an Act of Parliament. The Native Schools Act was entrenched, and the native schools were instructed to only teach rudimentary literacy and numeracy to the natives. Instead, teachers were encouraged to teach labouring, cooking, cleaning, and nursemaiding. Not nursing, just nursemaiding, for that is all they were capable of learning. This was indicative of the colonial understanding of the day. This is not a reflection on those who are gathered here. It was, after all, a long time ago. But understand this, that piece of legislation stayed in place in this country for 100 years, until 1969. That is generation after generation of our people being told your language is not good enough, your culture is not good enough, and essentially you are just not good enough. In the very least, it is social engineering and cultural genocide. E te mana whakawā. I come to this House as a proud descendant of Papawai, the home of Māori Parliament. Papawai, where our Māori Parliament operated from 1892 until 1902. During that time, it also met at the settlements of Waipatu, Tokoanu, Pākirikiri, Waiomatatini, Rotorua and Waitangi. It acted as a forum whereby Māori leaders from around the country could discuss issues of the day and as an opportunity for leaders to meet with parliamentarians to discuss legislation that affected Māori. It was the place where my ancestor and hero, Niniwa Iterangi, stood on marae ātea around the country to promote the Māori Parliament and the concept of kōtahitanga, or the uniting of Māori to achieve equity and transform lives for the future well-being of the people. She would have made a great Māori Party MP. E te mana whakawā, it is time to stand up and determine that this country has come of age by recognising our duality of nationhood, as coined by Dr. Hingangaroa Smith. When we can acknowledge our joint history with all of its warts and tragedies, perhaps then we can move forward as one nation. I look around this place and I wonder, where are our joint symbols of nationhood? Where is the place of Māori? Many continue to debate the necessity of the Māori seats in this House. I put it to you that when there are no longer disparities for Māori in this country, then we can remove the Māori seats. When Māori are recognised as value added to our country and not merely entertainment fluff to be rolled out for special occasions, then we can remove the Māori seats. When we can converse in Te Reo Māori without the need of a translator, then we can remove the Māori seats. And now I hear the murmurings that that will never happen. Well, why not? Surely we have proven our worth. Surely our ancestors who have given their lives on the battlefields of this earth have fought the price of citizenship. Surely those of our people who have sacrificed their land, their dignity and their traditional knowledge have given more than was necessary to give to share this land and to be acknowledged and valued. When our local governments can look at their numbers of Māori population as an asset and not a deficit, then we can move forward as a nation. When we can report wellness and not unwellness, when we can strive for equity and not just equality, we can move forward as a nation recognising duality of nationhood, becoming truly ambicultural and not just bicultural. I know the Western culture. I have been completely assimilated into it. I know the constructs of that culture. I also know my own culture. I am equally versed in the traditions of my ancestors, their knowledge and their histories. I regard myself as ambicultural, equally versed in the dual cultures of this country. I come here today to forge a place for Māori in this country as value added, as an asset, not a deficit, to change the poverty of not just the hand, but the poverty of the mind for all of our people. To believe there is a real place for Māori in this country through language, culture and identity. It is not the only reason I come here. Today in the gallery are members of my family, hapu and iwi. I stand on their behalf. I am driven forward on their behalf to address those disparities I have referred to. I want to add my voice to those who advocate for our children, to build a nation where our children are not plagued by hunger, where our children are not reared on a diet of drug and alcohol-fueled parties, where our children are not schooled by those who do not know how to say their name, or taught by those who do not believe in them, or harmed and exploited by those who are supposed to protect them. In Waitangi, we know the pain of child mortality and tragic death. In 1992, our naive peace was shattered by the murders of 7 of our whānau in the Judds Road massacre. The enduring picture I have of 7 coffins lying on our marae ātea surrounded by the mothers, sisters, aunts and grandmothers of our whānau is both bitter and sweet. Sweet at the memory of the outpouring of love that followed. The other picture that will haunt me is that of one large open pit where all 7 coffins were lowered into the grave because 7 graves side by side could not be dug with strength enough to hold up the walls of earth. And as if this tragedy was not enough, in the 10 years that followed, we lost the Sherman baby, the Applin sisters, Lily Bing and Coral Burrows, and we gathered here from Waitangi were related to them all. When our children suffer in this way, then I must stand up. When our young people choose to end their lives instead of live their reality, then I must stand. When our children cower in fear on the streets of this nation, then I must stand. When our children sleep their nights in the backs of broken down cars, then I must stand. I stand to give voice to those who have lost their voice and the song in their hearts. I stand to find a way to heal and restore love to our homes. I hold fast to a hymn of our church that sweetly reminds the listener, there is beauty all around when there's love at home. There is joy in every sound when there's love at home. Peace and plenty here abide, smiling sweet on every side. Time doth softly, sweetly glide when there's love at home. The most important work we will ever do will be within the walls of our own homes. When we change what we do in our homes, we will change society. That song is a song of whānau ora, the lyrics of which Tariana Turia has written into the hearts of every person who calls this land home. And so I want to acknowledge home and those who have brought me here, the kuia and karaua who put my billboards up from Wharekāhika in the north to Uawa, Kokakoni, Papa Prince, Papa Eruani and Papa Hemo. Ka tū pau taku māhunga kai mui a koutou. Leona, Lindley, Auntie Kath, Uncle Hori, Henare, Phyllis, Christine, JL, Rose, Pania, Kitty, Maxine, Miau Tamariki, PJ, Big Bill, Ivy, Baden, Pete, koutou e whakapau wera nei ra te mihi korerawa, atsu kia koutou katoa. To the Māori Party membership, far and wide, who have supported me to stand here today, proud to be a representative of the strong and independent Māori voice in this Parliament. To Māori mai. To my own family, my sisters, my brother who has acted as my father, and even my dad, who I'm sure will watch this on YouTube. I love you all. You have made me who I am. My children, Jordan and your spunky wife, Marion, Ricky Hunter and your cheeky wife, Marley, our moko rā kainuku, Ririwai and your soft and generous wife, Fee, and my darling moko tohu Mairangi, to Whatahoro, the epitome of whose name you bear, and Manahi. Manahi, I will not forget the Baba who was lost to us almost a year ago. Lania. My daughters, Te Marama, Mihiroa, Aromia, and Moitau. I love you so much. The testament of that love is etched on my heart and my puku forever. To my darling husband, who I have trained to be a super dad over the last 26 years. Today, when we were married 26 years ago, I just remembered this morning. I am forever in your debt and care. And finally, to who is my privilege? For I am privileged, not in the way it has been expressed in the past by members of this House, but I am privileged to be raised by a mum who taught me never to allow myself to be treated less than I deserve, who taught me I can do anything, who taught me to be better than the best I can be and not to be a statistic. You are my privilege. You who drove me 14 hours non-stop during the election when I was too sick to drive myself. There are not words to express the gratitude I have to a loving Father in heaven who blessed me with you as a mother. I commit myself to this House. I commit myself to our people. I commit myself to this government to ensure those who I love and those who deserve the love of this nation will have the full benefit of all I am able to give on their behalf. I'm excited to work alongside my colleague Tudoro Flavel to add to the greatness of this nation, built on the greatness of our ancestors. O tira e te whare huri noi te motu. Me maumahara no rangi ātea tātou katoa. He tangata rangatira tātou. Nō reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa.
I call Dr. Pamjit Palmer.